degree in journalism. I have worked in media as well, and have now made the switch into working from the perspective of working with journalists and with producers, because I believe that somebody who can understand the industry can have a good impact in terms of working with professionals in the media industry as colleagues rather than as adversaries, because I understand what their tensions and their challenges are, and I don't think that a great deal of what comes out of the media is intentional or malicious or deliberate, but that it comes from a lack of information, a shortage of time, and laziness, frankly. And so we try to work to close that gap so that that they're doing better work, and that they use us not just as a good source, but as a good resource, and that's probably the best thing that we can do. So, alhamdulillah, that's my story.
Okay, sister, thank you very much for your time. Inshallah, Allah will reward your efforts and make you successful in your advocacy for Muslim rights here in America. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Inshallah, yours as well.
Alhamdulillah, I'm able to sit and talk with our brother in Islam, Yusuf Yi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullah.
And alhamdulillah that I'm able to sit here and shake your hand and talk to you, because as we know from the news that Yusuf Yi, he used to be in the army. And unfortunately, he was unjustly accused of some things. Alhamdulillah, Allah found a way out for him. Akhi, just tell me a bit about the situation, what happened there.
Yes, I was the Muslim chaplain who served in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba at the tail end of 2002 and most of 2003. And Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, we know, is the controversial prison camp in which, at that time, some 660 prisoners were being held in these open-air cage-like cells. Today, some 430 or so still remain there, being held without charges, indefinitely. The Supreme Court has struck down the court system that President Bush has tried to implement, and a great many of these prisoners are actually from Saudi Arabia.
Now, as a chaplain, I guess you were able to talk to them and kind of listen to their concerns?
As the Muslim chaplain, I was given authorized, unescorted access into the prison cell blocks, and I was one of the very few people in the detention operation that had that open access to the prisoners to talk and listen to them freely. And as we say in the military, a good chaplain is a good listener, and I would listen to the terrible things that they would tell me about how the things that they had to endure, the suffering from both interrogation and detention.
Now in Saudi Arabia, we hear from a lot of the families that a lot of the people who were there just got swept up and caught up in something, and they wound up in Guantanamo Bay. In your conversation with them, were you hearing these stories from them?
My conversations with them really was about their life in Guantanamo. The horrible things that that they had to suffer through, because I was someone who can try and stop these things from happening.
But let me ask you, because what's most sensitive to us Muslims as an interrogation technique to insult our religion, to insult our holy book, are these things taking place there? I mean, were you aware of these things taking place there?
We heard about the desecration of the Quran last year. And as a Muslim chaplain who was down in Guantanamo, I can say yes, without a doubt, the Holy Quran was being abused and desecrated in several ways. I saw how guards, when they inspected the cells, they were at first able to take the Holy Quran and search it, but they would shake it upside down violently, looking for something dangerous. And they never found anything dangerous ever hidden by any of the prisoners down there in the Quran. But when they shook the Quran violently, sometimes the pages tore from the Holy Book, or the bindings themselves were ripped and cracked. When I was there, prisoners were complaining to me that the interrogators were taking the Quran and throwing it on the floor and stepping on it, kicking it across the room. And that's been confirmed in some of these FBI memos that have been disclosed. So yes, the Quran was being desecrated. Religion certainly was being used against the prisoners down in Guantanamo.